people see my baby, we won't take a DNA test. How is that not running my name through the mud?
Okay.
People looking at me like I don't take care of a child. You crazy?
Okay.
It's funny to you, it ain't funny to me.
I'm 20 years old.
I don't know, just try my hardest just to do what I can for him.
Can you help her? I don't believe it, not one bit. If you looked up lie in the dictionary, your picture is next to it. And the worst part about it is now that the baby is not yours, see somebody like you.
Take me off child support, baby.
It's nothing to dance about, it's nothing to laugh about. Your future was on the line because of your bad decisions. Now you should be ashamed of yourself, not sitting around dancing.
Ahmad is in court to prove he is the father of 22-month-old Nave. When Day gave birth to Nave, Ahmad was thrilled at the prospect of being a father, so it shattered him when Day revealed that he was not Nave's father. It even hurt him more because Nave is his first child.
To be my first child, so I was overjoyed. She couldn't work, so what I did, I tried to do as best as a man that I could do.
And so you found out she was pregnant and you were excited because this was your very first child.
Yes. This was like my second chance, you know, to have a child. Now I come to find out that...
Poor man. He has come a long way, only to have what he adored so much taken away from him. Ahmad said he and Day had been in a relationship before this, but Day insisted it was just a friendship and that she had told him the baby might not be his.
I told him the truth from the beginning, that she might not be his. And he said he wanted to be her father.
Talk to me about the relationship from your point of view.
It was more of a friendship for me. I loved Mr. Ahmad, but I wasn't in love with him. It was just, he was there for me, and I needed somebody to be there for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, that began a whole ruckus between Ahmad and Day. It got to the point that Day started getting upset by the accusations.
Oh, you were in a relationship, you think you got a girlfriend.
Right.
You're saying now, Ms. Day, I really wasn't in love with Mr. Ahmad, but he was a good friend. We were having a sexual relationship.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then what happens with the relationship at that point?
She was at my residence.
That's not true. We didn't even get along that much. I was not at his house.
I mean, somebody just had to say it. Day repeatedly states that they had conflicts and arguments about the baby, often resulting in Ahmad kicking her out of his home. However, Ahmad denies these claims. Despite the judge repeatedly asking him if he was confident he had never heard Day tell him about another possible father, he continued to deny ever being told.
Just feel like
My intentions to find out the truth for this baby. Right.
She's calling it a friendship on different pages. You all are in different books. And I don't mean it to be funny, because a lack of communication, I mean, it is always running as an undercurrent in paternity situations.
At this point, Judge Lorne was tired of their unmatching stories. She decided to switch the direction of the testimonies by asking them to tell the court about the day of Nave's birth. Regarding this story, the pair seemed to get the facts straight. There were no conflicting responses regarding Ahmad's presence that day.
You're saying you did not hear her say there was another possible father?
Never known another man. She's been...
That's not true.
I went to work. I disagree with that. I feel like you're trying to make me feel some kind of way, because if I was such a good friend, no, ma'am. That right there is a false step.
How is that even possible? The judge needed clarification, so she contacted the hospital for more information. According to the hospital, it was confirmed that a man cannot sign a child's birth certificate without the knowledge of the baby's mother. You know what? Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
The entire time she was pregnant, I cut the umbilical cord, I signed the birth certificate. Matter of fact, her mother picked me up to go have when the baby, her own mother.
I asked him not to sign my baby's birth certificate until we get a DNA, and he did it anyway.
Sign a birth certificate?
I didn't let you. You did it on...
So if Day did not give the nurse Ahmad's name as her baby's father, how did Ahmad's name get on Nave's birth certificate? Well, we're about to find out now.
The hospital where Nevaeh was born, the procedure is when she is asked to fill out a form for the birth certificate, including cannot sign the birth certificate. Were you ever given the information card, but you did not put his name?
No, I did not, because he was there. The other person was not there.
So you gave the child his last name?
Another individual is involved. What's more troubling is that Day placed Ahmad on child support and has depended on him since Nave's birth. Given these circumstances, it's understandable that Ahmad believes he is Nave's father. Moreover, the court investigated Miss Day's social media and uncovered evidence that could contradict everything she's been claiming about not naming Ahmad as her child's father.
Mr. Ahmad, do you remember the nurse saying, "Are you the father of the child?" And you said yes.
We were at an administration desk.
Drugged up, like I was.
Like demean you.
Why do you believe that?
Because she looks like his kid. She looks like him. She don't look like Mr. Ahmad at all anymore.
This is why they say the internet never forgets. Why, if not anything, that post was enough for Ahmad to conclude he is Navaya's father. However, Day disagreed, alleging that Ahmad had neglected Navaya for months. She mentioned that another man had taken over paternal responsibilities during this time. So who might this other potential father be?
Did a little investigation of your social media. Some very interesting posts.
Yes.
Is that Mr. Ahmad in the picture?
Yes, I said she looked like him at first, but she doesn't anymore. As she get older, she looked more like the other man.
You're affirming his belief.
Day has done a number on these men. The other man also appears quite perplexed. It's mind-boggling that she's kept them uncertain just to fulfill her desires. Initially, Ahmad was her friend supporting her, and now Mr. Flowers is her best friend, who is now possibly Navaya's father. At this point, Ahmad is dumbfounded.
Does this testimony surprise you, Mr. Ahmad?
I don't know this man. I'm out of this situation now, and my main deal is, what is the paternity of this, my baby?
Mr. Ahmad stepped up, and he was taking up the slack.
I never really forced that on him. He did all that on him.
After making both men think they could be Navaya's father, you now say they are involved by choice. I'm done with this. Everyone just needs to hear the DNA results so they can move on. Are you curious about the results? Let's find out.
Ahmad versus Day, pertaining to whether Mr. Ahmad or Mr. Flowers is the biological father of 22-month-old Nevaeh Ahmad. You all are going to have to return to your home state and try to get this taken care of. Mr. Ahmad, are you all right?
In this episode, the situation is quite messed up. Taylor had a sexual relationship with her mother's boyfriend, Mr. Chenault. Now, she's in court to establish Mr. Chenault, not the other man she was involved with, as the father of 3-month-old Zayden. The challenge is that Mr. Chenault is denying paternity, despite Taylor's efforts to prove otherwise.
You admit you were intimate with your girlfriend's daughter. You say you strongly doubt you fathered her child. We'll meet her in a moment. In a sexual relationship with your girlfriend's daughter.
It started out as a text message, Your Honor. A few days later, she had on...
Chenault's behavior is appalling, and it worsens with his shameless actions. His involvement with Taylor lasted about 6 months until Taylor's mother, Christine Bogardus, discovered their inappropriate relationship. How did Christine learn about this secret? Let's uncover that.
He had kind of manipulated both of us, saying that I told her about what we did and I never said anything, and she said that he told her about when she's not there, she left to go somewhere, sometimes when she's sleeping.
In her house?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's shocking. Christine caught Chenault and her daughter during their sneaky meetups, not during the act. However, this discovery didn't lead to an immediate breakup. Christine was only angry with Chenault for a few days. Meanwhile, Taylor discovered she was pregnant but was unsure of the father then.
It could have been 2 guys.
Which 2?
Mr. Chenault and another guy. And I had to sneak out and go tell Mr. Chenault.
You were honest?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chenault, I'm guessing at this point, hoping...
Actually, Your Honor, no.
That's quite absurd. At this point, the judge had to involve Taylor's mother, Christine. In court, Christine recounts her suspicions about her daughter and Chenault and how long she had been aware of his questionable behavior. Here's what she shared.
Because my daughter was acting funny.
What was she acting like?
She would get up out of the chair across the room to sit by him.
Oh, no, she didn't. 10-month-old child, grandchild, who's also...
That's correct, Your Honor. We had originally met 20 years ago.
So you watched her grow up?
Yes, Your Honor. I also helped raise...
Chile, Chenault's shameless behavior is unbelievable. This situation is already tough, especially since they are all living together. But the judge wasn't done yet. She had more questions for Chenault and Taylor. After observing their responses and body language, she decided they needed a lie detector test.
We deal in scientific evidence here. So I want to know if both of you say, calm your wife-to-be fears, and maybe this relationship could move forward like you want it to. How about you, ma'am?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody have anything to say?
No, Your Honor. I really don't have anything to say.
It's jarring that these two might still be sexually intimate given the circumstances. Nonetheless, the DNA test has been completed, and whether Chennault is the father of Taylor's 3-month-old baby will soon be revealed. At this moment, Christine is probably the most anxious about the outcome. Let's see what the result says.
Results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. In the case of Holthouse versus Chennault Bogart, as it pertains to 3-month-old Zayden Holthouse, Mr. Chennault, you are not.
It's good one issue is resolved, but Zayden might grow up fatherless as the other man won't take responsibility. Taylor, at 20, is left to raise her child alone. As Christine suggested, counseling would be beneficial, and I agree.
I do think that we all need counseling.
20 years old.
I don't know, just try my hardest just to do what I can for him.
Her mother and I will try to help her.
Can you help her? I don't believe it, not one bit. If you looked up lie in the dictionary, your picture is next to it.
In this episode, Toyetta Williams claims that Adams is the biological father of her 3-year-old son. Adam denies it and is being represented by his mother, Tanya Adams, at the court. You may wonder why Adams isn't in court in person. Well, he is defaulted on child support and is currently in home confinement. In fact, his actions could lead to him serving jail time.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
This very moment, both of you.
True, Your Honor.
Mr. Adams?
No, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Williams, when you met Mr. Adams, did you intend this to be a committed relationship?
Well, besides that, Williams had several sexual partners while she was seeing Adams. This means there's a chance the child could belong to someone else. However, Williams stated that she never definitively said Adams was the father. She even attempted to persuade him to take a DNA test, but he refused.
I asked him twice to get the DNA test. He said, I'm hungover. He was giving me excuses, basically. So I took it upon myself to get help with the DNA test. It wasn't for no money at all. I said, I pay for the DNA test myself. You ain't got to come out of pocket. That part is not my fault. But
so take me back. I need to understand these details.
Oh, so that's how Adams got involved. Regarding his current home confinement for unpaid child support, Williams sought assistance for her baby from the state. When asked to name the potential father, she mentioned Adams's name. And since he failed to appear in court, he was automatically declared the father.
So you didn't show up that day and you were deemed the father by default. Ms. Adams?
Yes.
Tell me how you heard about all of this.
My daughter was kind of close to her. They worked together, and I overheard a conversation on the phone. I guess they were supposed to meet or whatever, and she must have met when she...
Since Williams denied ever saying that, Mrs. Adams told the court of another scenario. She stated that one time she went to the department store where she ran into a heavily pregnant Williams with a man who wasn't her son. So what happened during this encounter? Let's hear directly from the horse's mouth.
He was with a guy. She was around 9 months pregnant, and I asked her to sit down and talk to me.
So you don't remember this happening?
Matter of fact, I take that back. I wasn't 9 months pregnant. I was still in the middle of the pregnancy, and that's when I told you of when I was with my ex, and I thought, yes, I do.
Oh, Mrs. Adams is revealing a lot of secrets right now. However, Williams continues to deny all the accusations. She mentions that she now has a stable job and strives to be a better mother. Satisfied with Williams's statement, Judge Lauren decided it was time to hear Adams's side of the story. Let's see how that goes.
Was it your understanding that you may be the father or that you were the father? You didn't believe that?
No, Your Honor.
Why?
Because first off, she had already told me that the baby wasn't mine. Then she named the baby after her ex-boyfriend.
That would have caused Williams a lot of trouble, but Adams didn't have concrete evidence to prove his statements. Instead, Adams might be in trouble now, because the testimonies given afterward would all point to his carelessness. Take a look at this so you would understand what I'm saying.
One time that I couldn't go, I was hungover, I'm not gonna lie, you know. It wasn't being lazy or nothing, I really was hungover. All the other times that we scheduled dates, she was not present, nowhere to be found, probably off partying or anything, Your Honor.
And then you ultimately end up being on the hook.
Clearly, Mr. Adams did bring this upon himself. Now he owes so much money in child support for a child that has not been confirmed as his. However, the judge needed to know how exactly Adams found out that the court had already deemed him the father of Williams' son. Here's what he had to say.
At the beginning of this year, I started receiving paperwork telling me that I had to make payments of $99 per month.
Why wouldn't I want to show up to my own DNA test to get my son tested? Why wouldn't I? If I knew about it, I would have showed up.
So now the total arrears are over $1,000. Just keeps escalating and escalating.
That's right, but that is not even the worst part. Adams has already spent time in jail for defaulting on child support payments. However, according to him, he was unaware that he was supposed to pay child support for any child, let alone that he owed around $1,000 in child support. So how did he discover this?
Basically, I was walking to the store to get some cigarettes. Police just ran our names. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant.
And so all this is going on because you didn't make it to a DNA test because you were hungover?
Yes, if he just would have got up and got the DNA test when I asked him, we wouldn't even be going.
Know who the father of her child was from jump.
What a mess. These people don't need all this, because what is done is done. All that's left is to find a way forward. Moving on, the judge examined pictures of the baby and Adams for similarities. Let's see how that goes, shall we?
Williams, as you look at Lil John, do you see Mr. Adams?
Just a little bit, but I mean, looks, like I say, it's a possibility. Looks don't mean something sometimes.
So, Ms. Williams, you submitted a picture of your child, baby John, and Mr. Adams about the same age. Do you see a resemblance?
No.
And anyway, I think we've had enough of that. What we need right now is an icebreaker, which in this case would come in the form of DNA test results. Is Adams truly baby John's biological father, or has he been in confinement for nothing all this while? Let's find out.
In the case of Adams v. Williams, pertaining to whether Mr. Adams is the father of 3-year-old John Jones, it has been determined that Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Mr. Adams?
McKinney appears heartbroken in court as her husband, Brown, denies paternity of their 11-month-old daughter, Amira. Brown's doubts stem from seeing a clip of his wife being sexually intimate with Jonathan Fowler, so he thinks Amira might be Fowler's. Meanwhile, Judge Lauren asks McKinney for her testimony, which she concludes in tears, hoping Amira is Brown's.
I just hope that he's the father of Amira Brown.
Hope that he is.
Yes.
So are you saying that you really don't know, but you truly hope?
Yes.
Okay, that's why we're here. Mr. Brown,
yes, sure.
You do not believe you're Amira's biological father?
No, I do not.
Write the tape. It's wild to see a video of your wife intimate with another man. Even if the baby resembles you, that video could make you doubt paternity. However, Brown claims the baby doesn't look like him but resembles the other man. How did Brown even find the tape?
The girls, they like snatching her phone, so they grabbed her phone. Before they could even get to the video, I grabbed it and it pressed play, and I seen the beginning of the video and I didn't see what I liked, so I just disclosed it. I didn't watch the whole video.
The video came up or you went looking to see what was in her phone?
They were scrolling through her pictures, whatever. Before they could even get to her, I grabbed the phone.
Man, that's rough. It's pretty difficult to wrap your head around something like that. The judge wanted clarity on how the tape was created in the first place because it's one thing to cheat and it's another to record the action. Let's see what she has to say about it.
At the time, me and Mr. Brown was off and on.
How did you meet the other man?
I met him on a dating website. We started talking online, and then I finally met him in person. He came to my house.
So how often were you sexually active with this man?
10 times.
And now, Mr. Brown, you believe...
Dill has more to say, and of course, Judge Lauren has more questions for him. Given this, Jonathan was asked to give a quick rundown of how he met McKinney. Here is what he said.
Met Miss McKinley I met her the ending of 2015 going to 2016.
So, this is my question. Sure. What did she say? Who did she say Mr. Brown was?
She never told me. She said that she just got out of a relationship and that they was done.
This situation keeps getting messier. When McKinney's husband, Brown, learned of her pregnancy, he didn't initially doubt it was his. However, complications during Amira's birth made him question paternity. He even refused to sign the birth certificate because he felt like the baby didn't look like him.
Dad, Amira, I said, hey, when I was born, I was pale. But wait, look at her lip. Why does her lip look so fat? That's not my lip. My lip does not look like that. Oh, no, it does not. So from that time in, I put it in my head, I'm like, wait, okay, if she's not mine, then she gotta be.
Brown is quite a character. The judge asks Jonathan when he last had sex with McKinney, and he says a year before Amira's birth, ruling out paternity. So why did McKinney claim he was the father? We're about to find out.
Why did you tell Mr. Fowler you were pregnant at all? If this had
I told both of them
ended-
I was pregnant, but he didn't know I was pregnant before he found
Well, why? I mean, if it's over with him and it's done, why? If you hadn't been with him for an entire year, he's out of the picture. Why tell him you're pregnant?
Why the poker face when she's clearly at fault? As Brown mentioned, something's off. Despite Fowler's testimony ruling him out, Brown still doubts Amira's paternity due to McKinney's behavior. A DNA test is needed to clear this uncertainty. Let's see how that unfolds.
Case of McKinney versus Brown. When it comes 11-month-old Amira Brown, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Fowler, you are not the father, Mr. Brown.
Okay, I was like to say I apologize.
That eliminates Mr. Fowler as the father. The court also tested Brown's DNA to confirm paternity, a result that has everyone on the edge of their seats. It surprised McKinney when Judge Lauren asked for the next envelope from Court Officer Jerome.
I'm ready for the next envelope, please.
What next envelope?
This next envelope. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostic, and they read as follows. In the case of McKinney versus Brown, when it comes to 11-month-old Amira.
I didn't expect that twist. But what's causing her tears? Perhaps she hoped Brown was Amira's father despite having multiple partners around Amira's conception. It's a puzzling situation. Brown seems most surprised. After all, he hoped Amira would be his since Fowler was ruled out.
What are you feeling in this moment?
I'm actually shocked. Neither one of us is dead. I'm just like...
I need to ask you, do you know who her father is?
No.
Well, I need to ask this respectfully. How many other possibilities are there? Do you remember?
We've got a championship bout between two families, the Langs and the Browns. Mr. Lang and his mom say they have doubts, but they would like nothing more than the baby to be Mr. Lang's. But according to Ms. Brown and her mom, the Langs haven't even bothered to see the baby in months.
Mr. Lang, you and your mother, Ms. Lang, have been waiting in agony to find out if you're indeed the biological father of your little daughter, Janelle. Now,
these two grandmas seem like they're gearing up for war. We're barely 1 minute in, and we've already got conflicting stories. How are you sure the baby isn't yours, but hope the DNA test says she is? Are the Langs just being performative since they're in court, or do they genuinely want baby Janelle to be Mr. Langs' daughter?
Now, Ms. Lang, I'm going to start with you. Why are you so certain this child isn't your son's?
Because I found out that Miss Brown slept with my son's best friend.
Wow, Ms. Lang, I'm pretty sure your son is the one on trial, not you. But anyway, her accusation really riled up Ms. Brown, and you can already tell she's coming with a counterblow for the ages.
Ms. Brown, what is your account of how this relationship began and then later ended?
We was on and off for 2 years because he cheated on me every other day. I find out about more than 100 girls, I promise you. I went back and forth with so many girls.
Ms. Brown lays it all out. She and Mr. Lang were on and off for 2 years because he just couldn't keep it in his pants. I'm just wondering how Mr. Lang even had the time to get with 50 to 100 girls. And his mom defending him is just a bad look on both of them.
You were together. He was doing his cheating. Were you sleeping with anybody else as well?
Not that we know of, Your Honor.
And it's none of your business.
Everything on the list, my business.
No, anyway, are you in the bed with him? Are you in the bed with him?
I don't need to. Can I?
Well, that escalated quickly. Usually, Jerome doesn't have much to do in these cases, but boy, oh boy, he's going to be busy today. With this much energy and rage, these two moms shouldn't be in a courtroom. Toss them some boxing gloves and put them in a ring.
I don't know if the kids are in a relationship or if the mothers are.
Word.
Oh, no. Because you are not with that. You are in the middle of the relationship.
No, I stayed out of the relationship.
Judge Lake took the words right out of my mouth. Who is on trial here? The two moms have taken over this case, and if this is any indication of how they meddle in their kids' affairs, it's no wonder they're in this courtroom today.
That we're being respectful in the court,
Definitely.
but we're also being respectful for the child's sake.
Definitely.
Setting an example for the kids.
Right.
Now, let me understand this story. You were in a relationship. It didn't work out. You then find out you're pregnant?
Yeah.
And what happened?
I was at the doctor. I came home and I gave him the paper saying I was pregnant, and he kept the paper.
I don't know what's more shocking, the fact that Mr. Lang was actually excited about the pregnancy, or the fact that he was showing it off to everybody. But hey, here he is now, denying the child. So what changed?
Mr. Lang, when you found out she was pregnant, you were happy about it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any doubts at that time?
Not at that time, no, I didn't.
And what made you start to have doubt?
When Mr. Dixon got in the picture, and he had told me to stop messing with her because the baby she's pregnant with could possibly be his.
Oh, so
Leaving her
she
voicemail.
informs you that she's having a baby and you're the father?
Okay, Mr. Lang, I see your point. Yeah, if I were him, I'd have doubts too. But on the flip side, what if Mr. Dixon was lying? Because I'm pretty sure that's a strong possibility. Let's hear what Ms. Brown has to say. Maybe she can set the record straight.
Do you have any idea why another man, Mr. Dixon in particular, would say he's the father?
No, Your Honor. And I've never slept with him. Me and him was not even cool. When we even seen each other, we wouldn't say nothing to each other. We just look at each other. When we were cool, it was never like that. It was always a group of friends.
So why would he do that?
Because, like I said before, they were enemies. He was trying to make Mr. Lang mad.
Well, someone isn't being honest here. The question is it Mr. Dixon or Ms. Brown? Either way, I don't think anything is going to change Ms. Lang's mind. She's already made up her mind, and that is not her grandbaby.
Cut the umbilical cord.
All right, Jerome, let me see that evidence.
We both held Miss Brown's legs back while she was pushing the baby out.
So you all were there and
On the other
cooperating?
side. Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
We was there.
she was only there like my baby.
No,
When this
stop
baby,
lying.
hold on, I'm talking.
That lines up perfectly with what we already know about Ms. Lang and her son. They're all over the place. How are you there for the birth, cutting the umbilical cord, and signing the birth certificate if you already have doubts? Just don't get it.
You're there, you cut the umbilical cord, you signed the birth certificate. When you looked at this baby, did you think the baby was yours?
He thought it was his. Can I interject right there? He thought it was his. She looked like him to me too, right there.
Really, Mr. Lang? Really? How in the world is the hairline what concerns you most? The baby was just born. What did he expect? A full head of hair with luscious locks. Glad to see his mom had some sense when it came to hairline gate.
I'm looking at the evidence that was presented. These are posts. Oh, it says, say we don't look alike, laugh out loud, boy, that's all me.
Right.
That's you posting about the baby,
That's
right?
I wouldn't post anything about, I don't know if this is my baby or this and that.
Oh man, now that's just funny at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does Mr. Lang have evidence against himself? Those Facebook posts are pretty much the opposite of what he's been saying this whole time, and he knows it.
Why every time I text him and say,
wouldn't let
come
me.
get used to her, because when you come and
never
get
text
her,
me.
she screams and cries like she don't know you, like she's screaming bloody murder. I text him. I don't text you.
Bloody murder.
I have Facebook messages.
murder.
Every time me and him would have an argument about him cheating, his mother would get into it, either try to argue with me or try to lie for her son, which she can, I don't doubt.
The Langs are getting bodied. What's with all the loving Facebook posts if you haven't seen your daughter in months? And Ms. Lang is wild too. I honestly don't think I've seen a messier mom. Give your son some room, lady.
Are you on Facebook with the kids arguing?
No.
Yeah.
She's going back 2 years ago, Your Honor.
So you did it?
Yeah, I did it.
Okay, but you just lied to the judge and say you didn't do it.
Girl, knock it off. Anyway, that maybe 2 years ago, when they first got started together, she always thought I was saying things to him against her, but I wasn't.
Don't worry, Ms. Lang. I think we all have a pretty good idea what those opinions were. And spoiler alert, they weren't very nice. Again, she's not the one on trial here, but since she's decided to take over for her son, we might as well put her in the hot seat.
I offered to pay for a DNA test. When all this mess was coming up, she would talk mess behind my back about the baby not being Mr. Lang's, but when I confronted her, she said she never said it.
I did.
But when we got into an argument, that's when the topic of the baby not being theirs came up.
Ms. Collier just dropped a bomb, and boy oh boy, if Jerome didn't step in when he did, that would have been one hell of a fight. I don't think the Langs are accepting their role as the heels in this narrative.
I know There's a lot at stake here. And you're two passionate mothers who love your children. But at this time, I think the only way we're going to be able to move forward is to get the result.
It's about time. If these two moms spend one more minute in this courtroom, someone is getting knocked out. Only one thing can settle this: the DNA test results. Judge Lake, the floor is yours.
Mr. Lang, you are not the father.
Are you serious?
Ma'am, we're not going to have that kind of language in this courtroom.
That's a lie. That is a lie. I swear that's a lie.
Ms. Allen and Mr. Childs have been going at it for the past 20 years. Ms. Allen is convinced that Mr. Childs is the father of her daughter, Ms. Baylor. But Mr. Childs and his wife, Ms. Johnson, are both sure that he's not the dad. It's finally time to get some answers.
Miss Allen, you say that after a brief affair with Mr. Childs, you discovered you were pregnant with your daughter, Ms. Baylor. You say Mr. Childs acknowledged paternity until his wife convinced him otherwise. You intend to prove that Mr. Childs is, in fact, your daughter's father.
We've got another classic he said, she said situation, and there's no telling who's right in these kinds of arguments. Ms. Allen and Ms. Johnson look like they're about to throw down. And Mr. Childs, well, he just hopes Shyncha's not his child.
Ms. Allen, why is Mr. Childs denying your daughter?
His petty wife. She been doing that for years. You wasn't there when we were sleeping together or nothing.
I can't deny it. Mr. Childs has a point. Why did it take Ms. Allen 20 years to take a DNA test? This is turning into a full-on shouting contest, so I'm hoping we get some answers before we go deaf.
Okay, so this didn't extend for a long time. This is just a few encounters.
Yeah.
Then you say you got pregnant, and once you got pregnant, did you tell Mr. Childs, I'm pregnant and I think it could be yours?
Actually, it was rumors, so he came to me.
My eardrums are getting hammered, but at least Miss Allen managed to give her testimony. And spreading rumors about yourself has to be one of the craziest traits I've ever seen. But hey, it's all hearsay until we see some evidence.
Hey, so Mr. Childs?
Yes, ma'am.
How did the story go in your assessment?
Your Honor, listen, wasn't no, hey, listen, I'm trying to get at you or anything like that. No, never that. It's just a moment that happened. So I even asked her, hey, are you supposed to be pregnant by me? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's yours or not.
Yeah, I had a feeling something about Ms. Allen's story wasn't adding up. If she knew that Mr. Childs could be the father, why did she ghost him? Hell, he didn't even know Ms. Allen was pregnant until he heard the rumors.
Miss Baylor was born, you didn't invite him to the birth?
No.
Did you invite any other man?
No.
Did you inform the other possibility or the other possibilities that they may be the father as well? You did?
Yes.
Okay.
And if that isn't the hottest burn I've seen on paternity court, I don't know what is. Damn, how long has Ms. Johnson been cooking that one up? Ms. Allen really needs to prioritize her thoughts, and I'm not sure I was messing with him first counts as credible evidence.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I think it's important to know too. When we met her daughter, the daughter told us that she had tested someone else. Why didn't you test him first?
So, Ms. Allen, there has been testimony which indicates that you also tested another man.
Yeah, she did.
Is that true?
Okay, that is true.
Ms. Allen is under fire. She's constantly fumbling her stories, and nearly every statement she makes comes back to bite her in the ass. I just feel for Ms. Baylor because, let's be honest, the only reason she's here is because of her mom's mistakes.
So, Shyncha, Ms. Baylor, were you always told Mr. Childs was your biological father?
To be honest, Your Honor, I was about 14 when I first found out my sister's dad wasn't my dad.
Did y'all get that? Ms. Baylor thought her stepfather was her real dad until she was 14 years old. No wonder she's got so many questions. Ms. Allen looks like more of a villain when we find out that Ms. Baylor had to find Mr. Childs all on her own.
11 years ago, you would have been 9, Ms. Baylor.
Yes, ma'am.
So you made an attempt to meet Ms. Baylor at 9 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
But you weren't informed of any of this till you were 14.
No, ma'am, I met her.
Wait, I'm confused now. Has Mr. Childs been the good guy all along? According to him, he's always been there for Ms. Baylor and would have been happy to take care of her if she's his daughter. Then again, we've seen some pretty good liars on this show. Who's to say he's not one of them?
None. And let me ask you this, Mr. Childs. It seems as if you were making earnest attempts to find out. Is it that you still had a question in your mind, so you were just trying to see it through?
I just wanted to see it through, Your Honor.
I know what you mean, Mr. Childs. Being labeled a deadbeat has to feel terrible, especially when you're desperately trying to figure out if the child is yours.
If this was the man you truly believed was your child's father, why didn't you ever pursue child support?
I basically was working and just taking care of her on my own.
Or was it that you just really knew that you didn't know for sure if it was him?
Well, it didn't even matter.
I don't know about you being a good catch, Mr. Childs, but what I will say is that you're making some really good points, man. And come on, Ms. Allen, what do you mean child support doesn't matter? Why'd you bring Mr. Childs to court today?
You know, when she had the baby, Your Honor, she brought the baby to my mom's house one time. And I told her right then and there, look, Niecy, we can get this straight now so we don't have any problems in the future. She disappeared.
And you say he didn't say that, Miss Allen?
Oh man, Ms. Allen is clutching at straws, and on the flip side, you can tell just how hurt Mr. Childs is by this whole situation. Ms. Allen has been playing a game of cat and mouse for 2 decades, and it's finally catching up to her.
Do you have any additional doubt?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You
yes,
do? Okay.
I have some evidence right here, Your Honor.
Let me see the evidence, Jerome. Will you describe what this evidence
yes,
is, sir?
My first evidence is with my children. All my children have 6 fingers, Your Honor. Both of my kids are very tall.
You know what? Things were going pretty well for Mr. Childs up until this point. This whole 6th finger thing that Mr. Childs and Mrs. Johnson are bringing up is so out of pocket. I mean, really? That's their closer? Well, it's a good thing they've already made a really strong case up until this point. It's time for the DNA test results, and you might want to sit down for this one.
Mr. Child, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Baylor.
It's okay, Your Honor. You know, at the same time.
It's okay, honey. It's okay.
Miss Valdez Lark's life could be about to change. Her wedding to Mr. Slater is on hold until she finds out whether Mr. Slater had a baby with his ex. That escalated quickly, huh? Miss Pitts claims that Mr. Slater is the father of her 1-year-old daughter, Harmony. But surprise, surprise, Mr. Slater is denying it. Let's see how this goes.
Miss Valdez Lark, you claim your engagement to your fiancé, Mr. Slater, is on hold until you determine today if he cheated on you and fathered his ex's 1-year-old daughter, Harmony.
Yes, Your Honor.
These two moms hate each other's guts, but what I don't understand is, why is Mr. Slater tucked safely away in the corner while his fiancé and his ex duke it out in the middle of the room? If anything, they should be teaming up against him.
That he is still attempting to have a sexual relationship with you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Slater, you say there's no way you are Harmony's father because you have not had sexual contact with Miss Pitts in years.
I'm not a big fan of how Miss Pitts' 12-year-old daughter got roped up in this mess. It's one thing to be chaotic, but when your BS starts affecting your kids, you're doing something terribly wrong. And what's up with these two ladies finishing each other's sentences? They've got more chemistry between them than either of them did with Mr. Slater.
So I called him to get him home so we can continue the conversation, because I wasn't going to continue the conversation without him being there. He's a part of this incident or whatever it may be going on between them.
Your Honor, when I was having my baby, the adoption parents was at the hospital with me. I was fit to get my daughter up.
Well then, where the hell was he, Ms. Lark? That's not the kind of thing you say with your chest. This guy is fishier than a can of sardines. And if I was a betting man, I'd wager that baby is his. And the mess between these 3 continues.
But at the time that he called
me, she wasn't trying to be
when he
messy.
came home, and it wasn't on no messy tip. Like,
how was it being messy? Why would you even call me?
Hold up.
You had a way to contact
Valdez Lark, but you say you weren't going to have the conversation until you got him home and you weren't speaking.
Really, Ms. Pitts? I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure having and taking care of 10 kids isn't a flex. And is Ms. Lark really defending Mr. Slater right now? How does she not see the irony in this? What happens when he stops taking care of her kids?
Okay, what I want to understand is, did he doubt paternity?
When I first told him, no ma'am, he didn't say, well, that's not my baby, and he didn't say any of that.
But obviously you have Harmony.
This case is getting more and more complicated by the second. A husband in prison plans to give the baby up for adoption, and a father who's out of the picture. Damn, is this a court case or a daytime drama movie?
Now, Mr. Slater, you're mighty quiet over there.
I see
he's the main ingredient to this.
You get this call, and do you believe you're the father?
No.
You don't?
No, Your Honor.
Did I say a drama movie? Well, I take that back. This is a full-on comedy show. You've got to give him props for his confidence, but I don't see how anyone could be obsessed with him. I mean, the dude has as much charisma as a brick.
As to whether or not you're the father of this child, you feel like you're not the father.
Yeah.
Why are you doubtful? Besides the fact you say you haven't had sex with her, are you aware she was in an intimate relationship with anybody else during that window of conception?
Yes, and she a slut.
I'm not sure that the phrase, she's a slut, counts as evidence, but if it did, this would be a home run for Mr. Slater. And we've been concentrating so much on Mr. Charismatic here that we forgot about the two ladies who want to take each other's heads off.
What happened when you found out Miss Pitts was pregnant?
I told her come and get him and this stuff and get him out. He didn't want to go. I ain't going nowhere with that. You said you'll be a fool to sit there believe anything she said right now.
Sorry to break it to you, Ms. Lark, but some things are just beyond fixing. Based on what I've heard so far, Mr. Slater looks like the most untrustworthy person on the planet, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Okay. So he went and got the rings, which I have proof that there was rings. I pawned them.
So you pawned your engagement ring?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was only after you decided you were pregnant, you said, all right, I'm gonna stay with him and see if we can work this thing out because I'm pregnant.
Right.
Hold up, is bro okay? Like, really, why can't I hear anything he just said? Mr. Slater either has a mouthful of rocks or a mouth full of lies. Either way, I have no idea how these two women can understand what he's saying, because I might need a translator.
Has Mr. Slater been in her life?
No, ma'am, he's been to my house and seen my child.
She lying, Your Honor. I haven't seen her. I seen a picture on the phone.
Oh my God.
So you've never seen this baby in person?
Probably you need to stop lying because it don't make no sense.
The judge is right. We should be focusing on the baby because this is turning into a beatdown. Mr. Slater is getting hammered, and if you ask me, he deserves it. Playing one person is bad enough, but playing two people, getting both of them pregnant and having as much personality as a piece of cardboard, that's just diabolical.
Then where do you go from here? What do you want her to at least be able to know who her biological father is?
No, ma'am.
But what if she wants to know?
Well, she would make the decision when she turns 18.
That's crazy.
No, it's not, Your Honor. For the simple fact, Robert, he's still not going to step up. Like, she really doesn't know him.
Ooh, he did it now. Mr. Slater has been denying everything that's critical of him, and the judge is finally fed up. It's also nice that both ladies now realize who the real bad guy here is. Things aren't looking good for Mr. Slater.
The first thing out your mouth is she's a lie. Now, I'm starting to believe you to lie. Now, you're gonna have to come up with some testimony in here that makes some sense.
Damn, I don't think I've ever seen someone rile up the judge this much. Judge Lake just gave Mr. Slater a long overdue thrashing, but the sad part is, he might be too slow to catch it. The tension is through the roof right now, and only one thing can close this case out: the DNA test results. Let's hear them.
Mr. Slater, you are her father. Beautiful little girl. What are you gonna do?
Take care of her.
You need to get serious.
If you're looking for horrible parents, then this is the right place for you. Ms. Jackson appeared in court, claiming that the defendant, Mr. Willimus, was nothing short of a useless man. She claimed that the results would prove he was the father, and she wanted him to take responsibility. The case began like this.
Ms. Jackson, you claim Mr. Williams is a good-for-nothing man who would rather ignore his responsibilities than take care of his 9-month-old daughter, Amani. You say the DNA test will prove Mr. Williams is your daughter's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Williams, you claim you made a huge mistake by having a one-night stand with the plaintiff. You say Ms. Jackson is a promiscuous nuisance who is trying to ruin your life, and there is no way you are her child's father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Jackson, what do you mean by good-for-nothing man?
Mr. Williams knows this baby is his.
Mr. Williams better have some serious evidence to back up his claim. That baby is too adorable not to have a father. The judge then turned to Ms. Jackson, asking her to share the story of their relationship. And let me tell you, it's a tale you won't see coming.
What happened on May 28th of 2016?
Well, that was Memorial Day weekend, Your Honor. I had been drinking, and so was Mr. Williams. He contacted me on Facebook, asked me what I was doing. I told him I was just chilling. He asked me, could he come through?
That's a lie, Your Honor. She contacted me on Facebook.
He contacted me on Facebook and asked me what was I doing. I told him I was just chilling. He said he was in the area. I told him to come through. So I got in the car with him. We went to talking, and one thing led to another. We had sex.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Did you use protection?
No, Your Honor.
Oh. So, you have sex? Is this a relationship that continued after that? Did you all say...
Well, it looks like it was a one-time freaky encounter. There was no romantic relationship after they kicked it in bed. Now, when Ms. Jackson noticed she had missed her cycle, she picked up her phone and told Mr. Jackson, and he told her he would call her back. Guess what? He never did.
And so I reached out to Mr. Williams on Facebook to let him know that it was late. So he brushed me off and said he was gonna call me back, never called back.
So you hadn't talked to him since the car?
Yes.
He said he was gonna call you right back and never called you back?
Never called me back.
Did you do that, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. I did not call her back. She been blowing my phone up. Blowing my phone off through the Facebook app because she never had my phone number. Saying that her cycle didn't come on and things in that nature.
But you had sex with her without protection, right?
Everybody else did too, right?
Everybody else? Everybody else like who? Who is everybody else?
Well, who is
everybody else?
I want to know, like Miss Jackson, who is everybody else?
She know who everybody else is.
Your Honor, after the fact of me telling him that my cycle was late.
Wow, I can't believe he just said that in an open courtroom. Who does that? Even though what he said was out of manner, the judge decided to ask him what he meant when he claimed there were other men in the mix, and this was how he broke it down to the judge.
I contacted him again when I found out that I was actually pregnant. He blocked me on Facebook.
So as you're trying to reach him to say, hey, we had unprotected sex, I found out I'm pregnant, you could be a potential father, he's blocking you on Facebook.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
you don't have his phone number.
No, you
So
Honor.
what do you do?
I created a fake page.
Created a fake page.
A fake page and reached out to him again.
Pages.
To let him know that I was indeed pregnant.
And did you ever get any response?
No.
So you were
Fake
ignoring this.
Yes, fake pages, and I don't allow disrespect. You calling me about something and you disrespecting me, that's a no-no.
He definitely didn't want anything to do with the child if he went that far. Judge Lauren then went on to ask him why he blocked her and ignored all her messages when she knew she was pregnant. He claimed the whole thing looked shady and she just wanted money.
After she started hitting me up on these fake pages, disrespecting me, talking about what I need to do, she kept saying, the baby ain't much here yet, and she talking about child support. I'm like, child support? And you just said you were pregnant? So she looking for a handout.
And so you felt like she was chasing you down about the baby because she needed support for the baby, and you felt like she was targeting you.
Yeah, she was targeting me, reason being, she stated that she had sex with another dude right the next gate behind me. So, and then once she told me that, I said, why are you chasing me down about...
How did you find out she had sex with another man?
She told me.
What happened? Tell me the story.
She was like, Eric, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Wow, so Ms. Jackson also has some secrets she's hiding? I don't know about you, but this case is about to get really intense. Before Mr. Williams was done explaining his side of the story, Ms. Jackson cut him shut and called him a liar by saying this.
I called him, yes, and I did tell him that I was with somebody else.
The day after?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you didn't use protection?
No, Your Honor.
So did you tell this other man you were pregnant as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you tell this other man it could potentially be his baby as well?
No, Your Honor.
Did you put this other man on child support?
No, Your Honor.
So why is it you're choosing Mr. Williams?
Because this man hasn't gotten anyone pregnant and doesn't have any kids.
We have to go by the facts. And the fact is, if it has not been proven that the other man is unable to father children, you've never been provided any medical information about this other man?
The judge is right on that one. There's a high chance the other man could also be the father of the baby. Now, this is where things get crazy. Apparently, Ms. Jackson told the other man he was the father of the child and decided to put Mr. Williams' name on child support. Imagine that.
So you put Mr. Williams on child support, but the other man's family helps you with the child?
Yes, Your Honor.
What you up to?
I just went with whoever was gonna stand up, Your Honor.
No, you went with both. You didn't go with one or the other. You got Mr. Williams on the hook talking about child support for him. Did you go down to the child support office?
Yes, I
did.
did.
And gave him his name?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
So you playing two sides of this particular field.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so, have you been responsible for child support all the time?
Like, I was the only name that was on the sheet.
So, Ms. Jackson, when you went to the child support office, why is it you only put Mr. Williams' name on the paperwork?
Damn, she was trying to play both men. Now, that is just heartless of Ms. Jackson. Hearing her say that, the judge was getting furious that both Ms. Jackson and Mr. Williams were playing games with the life of an innocent child.
And I hope it makes some sense, because neither one of you all got any sense right now. This little faulty logic y'all living off of is a hot mess.
A couple of months into my pregnancy, I had got a phone call from a friend asking me, did I see the post that Mr. Williams had posted on Facebook? I told her no. So we got off the phone, I went on Facebook, and I see he posted a baby shower invitation with him and another woman who was pregnant at the time.
So you had another woman pregnant at the same time Ms. Jackson was pregnant?
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? This right here, this is just messy. It's messy. Now, you got one woman pregnant. Yeah. So that means this rendezvous you had with Miss Jackson is nothing new for you.
Oh, Judge Lauren is pissed, all right. Anyway, let's bring their charade of bad parenting to a close, shall we? The results are in, and the judge is ready to reveal who the biological father of the child is.
Mr. Williams, you are the father.
I told you! I told you!
You said you don't mind no child support, so we're not going to have any problems.
It won't have no problems.
Good.
I apologize for everything dealing with the situation at hand. I'll make sure I take my responsibility as a man and take care of money.
Good. And you have to understand, when you create a situation where you can potentially make a child, when the woman then is pursuing you and you are avoiding her purposefully, you are not just running from that woman. In that instance, you were running for your own child. And Miss Jackson, that behavior, Miss Jackson, running around having sex, anybody tell you you cute and you letting them pull your,
In this situation, the plaintiff, Ms. Van Metter, told the judge that she wanted to prove to the defendant, Mr. Watkins, that he was the father of her child. She hoped that the results would prove that he was the father and that she could save her relationship. The case began like this.
Ms. Van Meter, after a recent medical scare, you realized it is imperative that you prove to the defendant that he is the biological father of your 3-year-old son, DeCedre, so you can put his name on the birth certificate. You are hopeful today's results will help save your family. Mr. Watkins, you say your paternity doubt has destroyed your relationship with the plaintiff, and when the results prove you are not the father, you are gone forever. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Van Meter, what is the current status of your relationship?
We are not in a relationship. We just live together at the moment.
Okay.
We broke up because of the simple fact that I cheated.
Is there a reason he is still in the relationship? I guess we'll find out. Despite the fact that she cheated, Mr. Watkins was nothing short of a good father to the child. He claimed he grew up without a father and was not going to let the child go through the same thing.
Also, I play father to her other child that doesn't have a father in her life, so I'm taking care of the whole crew.
And I understand that and I respect that, but it's just like he makes me feel like it's a financial thing of why he has stayed, and it's not, because we're going to be okay. And I mean, I think he can still father my child even if he's outside of the house.
So, Mr. Watkins, what I want to understand from you is it's bigger than I'm just staying in the house because this child needs to have a father.
Right, because I found out she cheated, and that's what, like, I didn't understand why. Because I felt like we're all adults. If you want to be in a relationship, you're going to be in one. If you don't want to be in one, you don't.
Okay, well, let's get down to the nitty-gritty, as they say.
Moving on, the judge decided to ask Mr. Watkins how everything went down the drain and how he found out that Ms. Van Meter had cheated on him. Trust me, the explanation he gave left everyone in the courtroom speechless. Even the judge wasn't expecting it.
I saw her on the couch texting, but I could clearly see what she's doing. She's texting and deleting messages. She's like, oh, I was just talking to my friend. What you deleting messages for? Then she pretty much was arguing about it, the fact of what she was saying, and I was like, you wasn't saying that because you deleted them. So I left just to cool down because I don't like sticking around arguing about nothing. So I was coming back. One of her family picked me up and told me that they saw her outside in the car doing what she was doing with the dude.
What?
Yeah.
You said doing what she's doing?
Pretty much she was having sex in the back of the car.
Ms. Van Meter, are you in the car with the guy you were texting?
Yeah, but it was because he was leaving, and I was telling him bye at first.
So
he came on to me, and it just ended up.
Wow, she doesn't even deny it. Someone needs to give her an ass whooping, trust me. Here is another mind-blowing revelation. Ms. Van Meter had already told Mr. Watkins about the man she had slept slept with, claiming he was just a friend. What she left out was that the friend was her ex-boyfriend.
You said it was a friend, right? But that person that you claimed to be as your friend was the person that you said that you dated a while back.
A long time ago.
So it was never a friend. So you was on the phone with your ex texting, deleting
But see, this is the part that always happens like this, because it's always that okie doke where it's like it's just my friend, and that's why in this courtroom we always ask, have you ever been intimate with that person?
No.
Because you had never been intimate with that person in the past?
No. Me and him.
So the first time you ever had sex with that person was in the car?
Yes.
I thought Mr. Watkins just testified that this was the person that used to date previously.
It didn't date him. When I talked to him, it was just talking.
For some reason, I'm just not buying Ms. Van Meter's story. After a week of her sexual encounter with the other guy, she finds out she is pregnant. She then went on to tell the judge that she could recall using protection while kicking it in bed. Mr. Watkins told the judge that it was a cap.
Mr. Watkins, you seem like you don't believe that.
She didn't use it. She told me she didn't use it. And then she told me she did use it. She said she didn't remember. Then she said she didn't. Then she did. Then she said she did. So there you see where my doubts come from.
So, Mr. Watkins, the truth is you believe this man she had the encounter with in the car, could be DeCedre's true biological father.
Right.
Do you have any additional doubt or evidence?
I don't really have a bond with him. Like, I love him, but every time I see him, I just see him the same way I see her daughter. Those are her kids. So I just see him as just a cute kid. He's cute and he's awesome.
You honestly can't blame Mr. Watkins for feeling that way. He might love the kid, but that doubt just can't disappear into the wind. Ms. Van Meter told the judge that after he found out that she had cheated on him, she told him that he didn't have to stay, but for some reason, he decided to be there for the kids.
Yeah, and
surrounding the timeline is real.
And I know that, and I told him that, and I respected that, and I told him he didn't have to stay. He has chose to stay. He was there during the whole birth. He was there. He cut my son's umbilical cord.
But Ms. Van Meter, have you ever told the other guy he potentially was DeCedre's biological father?
I ran into him when my son was 3 months old, and he asked me if I ever found out if my son was his or not, and I told him that I did because I didn't want him involved, just because I want him to be the dad, because my son acts just like him.
He acts like me because he's around me. He's gonna take up things from me.
But I want to understand this though.
She lied to the other guy because she wanted Mr. Watkins to be the father of her child. Wow. Of course, the judge talked some sense into her head. In trying to defend herself, she said she did what she did because she loved him and wanted the relationship to work.
Trail.
Because I love him and I do want our relationship to work. It's not like that I don't care if he leaves or not, because it would hurt me. It really would. I do love him and I care about him, but I don't want him to feel like he's trapped.
So the truth is, you do want your relationship to work.
Yes, I do.
And you do want him to be the father of your child, not just in deed, right?
Yeah.
But in name as well.
Yeah.
In biology.
Yes.
And you're hoping that these paternity results will save the relationship.
That is because I had a scare about my cancer and I had a biopsy done. At the end of the day, if something happens to me, I want my son to know who his dad is, because I want him.
Wonderful speech, but it does not erase the fact that the child has 2 possible fathers. Anyway, the only way out of this cheating scandal was to reveal the DNA results. Is the ex-boyfriend the father, or is Mr. Watkins the father?
Mr. Watkins, you are the father.
All right. Ooh, that's my boy right there. No wonder he's so damn bad.
That's funny. I've never heard that. But Mr. Watkins, I'm so glad DeCedre will have his daddy in his life, and you will be able to be there, and most importantly, be able to break the generational curse that you spoke about when you first began to testify in this courtroom. That you had made up your mind you were going to be the father you did not have, right?
Right.
And not only be the father, but be, so you know from this moment forward, he's taking his cues from you.
If he takes it from you, he'll be a hell of a man.
Ms. Bruton here admitted to sleeping with both her boyfriend and ex-boyfriend, and now they both want to be the baby daddy. And that got hot. Judge Lauren Lake as mad as you've ever seen her. And here is how it all began.
Ms. Bruton, you claim to be 100% positive that Mr. Martin is not your son's biological father because your ex-boyfriend, Mr. Richardson, is.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say today's DNA test will allow you to get rid of Mr. Martin and to finally reconcile your relationship with Mr. Richardson. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Martin, you say Ms. Bruton led you to believe that you had fathered her 7-month-old son, Logan. You claim Ms. Bruton kept the baby from you in hopes that she could build a family with Mr. Richardson and not you.
Yes, Your Honor.
For some reason, Ms. Bruton seems to be quite sure that her boyfriend is the father of her baby, but the ex-boyfriend wasn't going to let Ms. Bruton sell that story to the judge. He claimed he remembered being intimate with her around the window of conception. He started by saying this.
Alone.
Yeah, by looks alone.
But Mr. Martin, you disagree.
Yes, because I know I had unprotected sex around the time that she conceived. She might say I didn't have it as many times she said I did, but I know it's a fact. And
No.
it's 99.7%
No, Your Honor.
that it is mine.
No, Your Honor. We only had unprotected sex twice.
No.
That's it.
Your Honor.
Twice.
Your Honor.
In my apartment twice.
Your Honor, it was 3 at her apartment, 2 at her family member house, 1 at my house, and 1 in the car.
You know it only takes one time anyway.
Yes,
it only takes
All
one
right.
time.
So you say this is your child, Mr. Martin?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, that's a really harsh thing to do, Ms. Bruton. She made him happy about the pregnancy and then pulled a fast one on him by vanishing into the air. But here's the crazy thing. Ms. Bruton was not sure who the father of her child could be. So what did she do? She decided to tell both of them that they could both be the father of the child.
Hey, I'm pregnant and you're the father?
First of all, I called both of them because I wasn't for sure who was the father because I slept with both of them around the same time.
Okay, so you do admit his testimony is true.
Yes.
Take me back. I want to understand this relationship. So how do you get to the point where you're in the relationship with Mr. Richardson, but you're having sex unprotected with Mr. Martin?
Okay, me and Mr. Richardson, we was having our ups and downs in our relationship. And so when I met Mr. Martin, I confided him as a friend, and then our friendship grew into a sexual relationship.
There's no denying it now. Ms. Bruton was the one who stepped out of line in the relationship. But there's more truth to be told. Apparently, Mr. Martin wasn't being so truthful with his side of the story. The judge asked him if he wanted to be in a relationship with Ms. Bruton, and the answer he gave was breathtaking. Here's what he had to say.
You were just the go-to guy, Mr. Martin, or did you think you were in a relationship?
Nah, I was just the go-to guy.
So you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that. I really wanted me a child at the time, so I was trying to get her pregnant, and I did tell her that.
You were trying to get somebody pregnant that you
pregnant.
didn't want to be in a relationship with?
Yeah, but I didn't want to be in a relationship with her.
But you were trying to get her pregnant?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you just gonna go out and just make a baby with anybody?
No, not with anybody, but
That's
I
what you're
gotta
saying?
I gotta get to know you though.
Okay, but you're not even in a relationship with her.
No.
Nor do you want to be in a relationship.
No, you're
But
not.
you're going to go make a baby. You want to purposefully make a baby with her.
That's what
Yes.
And how old are you?
19.
19 years old.
One thing is for sure, Mr. Martin just got on Judge Lauren's nerves. The window of conception hits the table, and both Ms. Bruton and Mr. Martin can't seem to agree on the days they were intimate with each other. Miss Bruton claimed it was a certain date, while baby daddy claimed she wasn't telling the truth.
Wow.
Yes, it is true. We only had sex twice.
Listen, that's so not true.
You're disputing those days?
Yeah, yes,
When
yes.
do you say you were intimate?
Before the 7th, it was like on the 5th maybe. That was the first time.
So you're saying you were intimate with her before and after this date of
before,
conception?
yeah,
Well, let's just be certain.
Before
What she has already testified to puts you in the window of conception, regardless.
Yes.
So, in many ways, you in there.
Yes, Your Honor.
You are a possible father of this child.
I don't know who he think he slept with more than twice, but it sure wasn't me. We only had sex twice.
Sneaky little Ms. Bruton. She cheated and kept it a secret from her boyfriend? Wow, could it get any worse? Anyway, Ms. Bruton claimed that it was her boyfriend who was by her side throughout the pregnancy. She claimed Mr. Martin was a pain in her ass, and all he tried to do was ruin her relationship with her boyfriend.
So who stepped up for you during this pregnancy?
Mr. Richardson.
Really?
Yes, I was trying my best to avoid Mr. Martin because he's very messy, trying to break up me and Mr. Richardson's relationship.
I did.
But when you told him he was a potential father,
yes.
Wait, Mr. Martin, did you try to be there? Were you trying to go to
Yeah, he tried, but I've tried to. I wasn't hearing it. I wasn't seeing it.
At first she did. I was trying to do that. But then after them 2 weeks, she just disappeared. It was like nothing else.
Where did you go?
She just
the
phone.
I just wasn't answering the phone. Every time he'd come see a family member of mine, I wouldn't be around it because I didn't want to see him or have nothing to do with him.
At least she isn't denying shutting Mr. Martin out of the picture, but it gets tricky. Ms. Bruton allowed her boyfriend to sign the birth certificate because she wanted him to be the father, or as she put it, she believed and hoped he was the father. Even till this moment, she doesn't know if her boyfriend is actually the father of her child.
Because I wanted Mr. Richardson to know all of that. I didn't want Mr. Martin to know none of that because I don't want him to be Logan's father.
So you allowed Mr. Richardson to sign the birth certificate because you think he's the father or because you hope he's the father?
I think he's the father and I'm hoping he's the father.
Both. So now he's legally responsible for this child.
Yes.
When you sign a birth certificate, you are acknowledging paternity and you are taking responsibility legally for this child. And now you're in paternity court with another man that says he's also this child's father, and the reason why he believes that is because you told him.
Father because he wants kids so bad, but
well, the case is not going to get any messier than this. Judge Lauren isn't going to sit around and watch these guys argue all day. The only way out of this mess is to reveal the DNA results. Is Mr. Martin going to end up being the father of the child?
Mr. Richardson, you are not the father.
What?
Mr. Martin.
I told you.
What?
I told you.
You are the father.
I told you. I knew what it was.
No, that is not possible.
I
That
know
is not possible. That is not possible.
I knew this.
I want to read this.
Mr. Martin, you are the father.
No, that is not possible.
We need to get something.
He don't look nothing like him, so how is he the father?
Miss Bruton, I realize you thought you were playing a game of chess, but the DNA is not a game.
Let's just say these two are the worst parents on the planet. Ms. Adams claimed to be in a love triangle, and now the defendant, Mr. Spencer, no longer believes he fathered her twins. She claimed she was beyond certain that he was the father of her twins, and she was going to prove it. She began her case like this.
Ms. Adams, you say you were caught in a love triangle, and now the defendant doesn't believe he fathered your 13-month-old twins, Kamarian and Kamariana. You testify that you are 100% certain he is and plan to prove it today in court. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Spencer, you say the plaintiff needs to make up her mind about who her children's father is. You state that another man was claiming the babies were his. You say when the results reveal you are not the father, you plan to cut off all communication. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
She was sleeping with two different men at the same time. Wow. Here is the thing. She claimed that she was initially in a relationship, and when that went south, Mr. Spencer was the shoulder to cry on. For them, it was not a romantic situation at all.
All right, so were you and Mr. Spencer in a committed relationship?
No.
No. And so, Mr. Spencer, you agree with this testimony? You met Ms. Adams. You all started having a sexual relationship. You didn't use protection.
Yes, sir.
But
yes,
you
Your
weren't in a committed relationship.
No, we weren't.
So, did you know whether or not at that time she was also intimate with anybody else?
No, I didn't.
Miss Adams, were you intimate with anybody else during that time?
No, I was not.
So how soon after you broke up with your ex did you meet Mr. Spencer?
I'll say like about 2.5 months later.
All right. So during this window of time you were intimate with Mr. Spencer, you were not dealing with your ex at all?
No, I was not.
At least she did not deny that she was intimate with both Mr. Spencer and her ex-boyfriend. Now, when she found out she was pregnant because she believed Mr. Spencer was the father, she told one of his family members about the pregnancy.
What did you tell?
I told a family member of Markeith Spencer that I was currently pregnant and that I need to speak with him immediately.
So you told Mr. Spencer's family member?
Yes.
And you were confident at that time that Mr. Spencer was your child's biological father?
Yes.
And so, Mr. Spencer, your family member informed you that Ms. Adams was pregnant?
Yeah, she called me and then she told me like that Miss Adams was pregnant or whatever. Then I called and checked with her, like, you know, the confirmation to make sure like this was what I was hearing. Then, you know, we just like, we talked about like her pregnancy, how she got pregnant, how this was possible, how it happened.
And so for some reason, it's not surprising that she did not mention the possibility of another father in the mix. When she gave birth to the twins, her ex's mom caught wind of the pictures of the babies and told her the babies were her grandkids because they looked like her son.
But what happened, the way that my ex came into the picture is because once I had the babies, the pictures went out on the internet, and that's when my ex-mother called me and said that those are my grandbabies. They look just like my son.
Oh. And so once she said that, had you been thinking of that in the back of your mind all this time? Never.
Never. I was starting to hear it so much, and I was getting so many phone calls from like my ex side of the family and everything about the boy, Kamarion. They were saying he looked like my ex and everything. So it got to the point where I'm just like, whoa, I never thought that Marquis was not the father, but then...
The ex's mom sure wants those twins to be her grandbabies. Judge Lauren then decided to ask Mr. Spencer when and how he found out that the babies he once believed to be his were no longer his. This was the explanation he gave to the judge.
It was like probably a couple months after I was away, I've been going, I talked to her, kept in contact with her the whole time, like her pregnancy or whatever, we talked, she was, writing me letters and stuff saying like how these was my kids, how she wanted me to come home, be a family with her, stuff like that, And then the communication was changing, like her attitude was changing, everything. So I kind of knew it was like either you back messing with Mitchell or there's something going on, because you having an attitude more, like you ain't really keeping me up to date with these kids, and like it was like...
So you noticed it?
Yeah, like I kind of noticed the change, so I kind of knew it was like somebody else in the picture, like it was then they told me like...
Wow, she must really love her ex. While Mr. Spencer was away, he caught wind of pictures of the twins and her ex's mom, in which she claimed that the baby belonged to her ex-boyfriend, as you would expect. Ms. Adams denied the whole thing when he confronted her.
But you were at a place where you decided you were going to race Mr. Spencer out the picture.
Yes,
because you didn't want the drama.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Spencer, when this was happening, did you realize she was just trying to cut you out, or did you feel like she had determined you weren't the child's biological father, and so she was just moving on?
When I was away, my ex sent me pictures of Christian Page, and I seen pictures of her tagging Mitchell's mom as their grandkids. So I was like, and you telling me this whole time these was my kids.
And what did she say?
She was like, oh, I ain't tell them that. Mitchell just automatically assumed these was his kids. She told me that, like he automatically came back and was like, oh, them my kids, I'm gonna be taking care of them kids.
Oh well, Judge Lauren dropped a bomb in the courtroom. She told both Mr. Spencer and Ms. Adams that the ex's mom was out back waiting to tell her side of the story. Trust me, it came as a shock to both of them. When the ex's mom walked in, this was what she told the judge.
Yeah. And I have to ask you, do you believe these are your son's biological children?
Yes, I do.
Please explain to the court.
The first week that they was born, Kristen's mom called me. So she said, by now, look, take a look at the babies. Look at these pictures. Something ain't right. So she sent me the pictures. So I'm like, oh my God. So I went looking for some of Mitchell's baby pictures, and I started sending them through the family. And the family's like, oh my God, these Mitchell's babies. So as I talked to Kristen, are you sure? We just left here at the end of December. You said you met Marquis in February.
Wow, now that certainly complicates the whole situation. Well, there is only one way out of this mess. The DNA results never lie, and the judge is ready to give her verdict about the whole case. Here it comes.
Mr. Williams, or Mr. Spencer, is the father of 1-year-old Kamariana Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer. Mr. Williams, or Mr. Spencer, is the father of 1-year-old Kamarion Adams Spencer. It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Spencer.
Jordan, a man who believed he was a father, had his world turned upside down when he found out that the defendant's daughter, Caitlin, was not his, but someone else's. The shocking revelation was that the defendant, Haim, had allegedly tricked him into believing the baby was his. However, what is Haim's version of this story?
Mr. Jordan, you claim the defendant tricked you into signing her daughter's birth certificate and being a daddy. But 2 years later, you were told that another man is her biological father. You opened your case because you want DNA proof you are not the father so you can get your name removed from the birth certificate. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, wow. Jordan adds that he believes her motive for tricking him was because she knew he was a great father and the better option for her daughter. According to him, she became deceitful as a result. However, Haim disagrees.
No, ma'am. He's a great father, and I only had sex with one man when we were together, and I had sex with him one time, but we've been messing around for 7 years, and I never became pregnant. I met Chris, and all of a sudden I came pregnant.
Okay, I don't understand this woman's angle, but let's keep going. Haim claims that the public is influencing Jordan's doubtful thoughts and that the situation hurts her.
Hurt, because my daughter, she's old enough to realize she came and asked me, does my dad still love her? It hurt me so bad.
She asked you, does my daddy still love me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Based on Jordan's testimony, things were going well between him and Haim. So where exactly did things start turning sour, and most especially, where did the paternity doubts begin to surface? Let's find out.
This is where it goes wrong. Her and the family member gets into like an altercation or whatnot, like an argument. It wasn't even an altercation, it was an argument. And it was like they started like throwing dirt on each other, you know what I mean? So she said something about this family member's in front of this family member's boyfriend or whatever.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. Why is Haim smiling like everything Jordan is saying is funny? She's acting funny, and I don't even know what to think anymore. Anyway, let's hear from Judge Lauren, cause it looks like she has a lot to say.
Pictures of...
Wait a minute! Hold on! Caitlin's 2 years old, you think you have a daughter and the perfect girl, you got a good life.
Yeah, I actually have evidence.
Oh, let me see that. So you think you having a good life, and then they get into an argument when Caitlin's 2, a family member of Miss Haim.
Could Jordan be onto something with this evidence? We'll see.
So this is another one posted up, and this is from Santavius Knight, and it reads, me and my baby Kate.
And my thing is, when did anybody get the time to even take my daughter?
What in the world is Haim's trying to prove? Why is she putting this poor man through all this when she knows the truth? Anyway, just like you and I, the judge also wants to get to the bottom of this. So she asks Haim more questions. Let's see how that goes.
I didn't tell him that. I told him I was pregnant.
Miss Haim, I'm gonna need you to tell me what the deal is. I need to know what's going on. She's old enough to know. Who does she think her father is, Mr. Jordan or Santavius?
Chris.
Do you think Haim is starting to make some sense? I don't. After that testimony, Jordan once again objected to what Haim said. The most exciting part is that even the judge agreed with him. Here, take a look.
We are here discussing the paternity of Caitlin.
Yes, ma'am.
And it has been brought to this court's attention that there are pictures of you with Caitlin where you put in a caption that this is me and my baby Kate, where you are referring to this little girl as your daughter.
Yes.
Wow, I still don't get Haim's angle, because how will you tell someone also about your pregnancy in such a manner if you were not trying to say to them that it's theirs? Even the judge has to ask her what her deal was, leading two men to think they were her daughter's dads.
No, he's lying. When I came back in town in April, I had sex, and then I found out I was pregnant in June, so how is that possible? I just called him and let him know that I was pregnant.
What did you say she said to you again?
She told me to do my baby. She said, I'm pregnant. I said, what you telling me for?
Granted that she is tired of hearing her family say those things, but the main question here is, why did she even tell Santavius about her pregnancy, and even spew other statements like this one the judge asked about here?
Oh no, I called him when I found out I was pregnant and told him that I was pregnant.
Did you tell him you were gonna make the birth certificate right?
I don't remember that, Your Honor.
But the conversation about the birth certificate would happen after Caitlin was born. So you're still having conversations with him after Caitlin's born.
To my family members.
Things aren't looking good for Haim. Jordan is pissed that Haim is, in his words, manipulating them both. And all she could do was smirk. This behavior got to Judge Lauren, and she had to ask her what that was about. Here, take a look.
What's this smirk, Miss Haim? What is this smirk? You had the same smirk on your face. You burst out crying when the case first started. You just so tired of this, and you just wanted it to be over, and you just tired of going through this. What is the smirk? What is behind your eyes? What are you feeling?
Finally, some truth. Now that Haim has come clean, I guess it's time for the results to be revealed. Moment of truth. Here we come.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Jordan. Mr. Jordan, you are Caitlin's biological father. Mr. Knight, I know you really thought Caitlin was your biological child. How are you feeling in this moment?
At the end of the day, in life, you can't,
Hendricks and Pacheco lived together happily until the latter began having paternity doubts about Hendricks' 6-month-old son, Isaiah. If they used to be in a peaceful and happy relationship, where did things go wrong? Let's find out.
Mr. Pacheco, you say your doubts about paternity began when you overheard a conversation with Ms. Hendricks' family member and another man who claimed to be the baby's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
And furthermore, you recently moved out of the home you once shared and will not return unless DNA results prove little Isaiah is indeed your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
We have all seen the pair start as two people in love, blossoming into a happy relationship. Hendricks added that they had so much love for each other that they were inseparable. By the time she got pregnant, the pair were also happy to receive the news. But the happiness didn't last long after that.
You had love for one another? Was it a committed relationship?
Yeah, we was together every day. Like, we was never apart. We was inseparable every day.
And so at some point, you realize you're pregnant?
Yes, and we was both happy. It was like very exciting, like the whole pregnancy, up until I was about 7 months pregnant.
Now we know how things started to go awry for the pair. It did not help that there were rumors about Hendricks' infidelity flying around. According to Hendricks, things had gotten terrible between her and Pacheco, and he abandoned her when she was 7 months pregnant.
He left me when I was 7 months pregnant. The whole pregnancy, the rest of my pregnancy, I was by myself on, which was very depressing.
Okay, so then why?
When I let him be in the delivery room, he wanted to be in a delivery room. He came to the hospital with me. I didn't see him since I was 7 months when I went into labor.
Well, Pacheco has a point. However, Hendricks countered that she had not contacted the ex since she returned with Pacheco.
Yeah, but then after that, a family member of hers says, "Oh, that's the mailman's baby."
No.
You know, that for me.
While you were at the hospital?
No, that's when we had a family gathering at Mrs.
That's because my son has blue eyes and light hair.
That her family member came and said...
And light skin.
Said, "Oh, that's the mailman's baby."
It's difficult even to know who is lying and who isn't at this point. However, we all know that the truth will eventually reveal itself as a confession or a DNA test result. Moving on, Pacheco has much to say about his feelings on the whole thing, so let's hear from him.
But for me too, saying about her mother was the one that gave the dude the number. Her ex, the number to get in contact back and forth, all about the baby situation. For me, it really bothered me and it hurted me, you know what I'm saying? Because at one point, I felt like her mother was like a mother to me.
But that's not all. What Pacheco would reveal to the court after Hendricks' accusation would shock the entire court.
You know, we hear women say in this courtroom all the time, when you get angry and you tell a man that this isn't their child, you can't unring that bell. You rang it. Now what's in his mind?
Well, how did that happen? It turned out that after initially refusing to sign the birth certificate, Pacheco went back to the hospital with a change of heart. However, he and Hendricks had a disagreement that led to him being thrown out of the hospital. The judge decided it was high time Pacheco's witness spoke. Let's see how that goes.
State your name for the court, sir.
Matthew Hendricks.
Mr. Hendricks, okay. You are Ms. Hendricks'
his brother.
And yet you're Mr. Pacheco's witness.
And also Mrs. Ferrone's fiance.
So this truly is a family divided.
Yes. Yes.
Well, look at Matthew's fiance running to defend Hendricks. It seems like Hendricks may have been unfaithful to Pacheco, and the child the latter believes to be his may not be. The realization of this hurts Pacheco. However, the judge points out that it doesn't seem like Hendricks understands this.
Explain, Mr. Pacheco, explain it, because I don't know if she feels your pain, and I certainly see it.
She don't, because I look at him every day and there's a doubt in my head, like, if he's not my son. You know, the bond I got in 7 months, I've been there. You know, I did everything for that kid. Bought him clothes, bought him diapers.
It's sad that despite all the love these two shared, they find themselves in such a situation. It gets messier when Hendricks' witness, Ferrone, backs her friend up to lash out at Pacheco. At this point, the judge just had to invite her to the podium.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Since you're talking, step up to the podium. State your name.
Marcelina Ferrone.
And you are?
Her best friend and Mr. Hendricks' fiance.
Okay. What do you know about this situation?
He was there 100%. Me and Mr. Hendricks, we have a 7-month-old daughter together.
Things are awful at this point, and honestly, everyone needs to move forward. This brings us to the DNA result, which will help us determine whether Pacheco is truly little Isaiah's father.
Case of Hendricks v. Pacheco. pertaining to 6-month-old Isaiah. Mr. Pacheco, you are his father.
That's good. My nephew has a father. That's good. That's good.
I'm sorry for everything I put you through.
I'm happy for all of you.
Thank you.
30 years passed before Mama Davis confessed to her daughter, Wandick, that the man she believed to be her father was not her biological dad. This revelation has led Wandick to distance herself from Haggerty, the supposed father. However, Haggerty claims that everything Davis said was a lie. Why does he think so?
Lied to me, she lied to my daughter. When she first got pregnant, she said I was the dad. And after 29 years, I come to find out now that I'm not the father.
You've raised this beautiful young woman, and you've thought of her as your daughter and nothing else.
For the whole 29 years, yes, Your Honor.
How can someone be so insensitive? Davis has caused many issues for the pair, and this upsets Wandick. She questions Davis why she would lie to her for nearly 30 years if she truly loved her. This is incredibly hurtful because Wandick had formed a close bond with Haggerty.
Haggerty was a wonderful father to me. Like, I was in and out of the system, and he'll come pick me up from my foster care home, take me around to his side of the family, which is, they're awesome. Like, he's just been an outstanding dad. He didn't treat me no different from my sister.
Right, this new witness, Carolyn, who is Davis's sister, appears to be on Haggerty's side. She claims that Davis never spoke of another possible baby daddy, and everyone in their family was assured that Haggerty was the father. So, when did the question of paternity start to rear its ugly head? Let's hear from Wandick.
When I really found out things was I was at a sibling's house, and this other man came up to me and he started crying, and I'm like, whoa. Why are you crying? Like, who are you? I don't know you. Why are you crying? Why are you looking at me just crying? And he was like, you don't know who I am? He was like, I'm your father.
All of this is shocking to Haggerty. Wandick says she began doubting Haggerty was her father and distanced herself from him after the other man entered her life, which Haggerty noticed. Believe it or not, Wandick hasn't seen Haggerty in 9 years.
Last time you've seen Mr. Haggerty, the man you've always grown up believing was your biological father?
The last time I seen him was about 9 years ago.
9 years?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Miss...
Unbelievable. The other guy was at the hospital on the day Wandick was born. So how did Davis manage to involve Haggerty in this situation?
If you were that certain and he signed the birth certificate, everything is here.
The birth certificate.
How does Mr. Haggerty get into the equation?
Question, because I'm gonna explain it to you, Your Honor, because I wanted a baby by Mr. Haggerty so bad. So bad I had 4 miscarriages.
This is wild. Just because she wanted to have a child with Haggerty, Davis went so far as to lie that he was the father of a child she had with another man. That's absurd. Meanwhile, Haggerty has always been proud to be Wandick's father, despite having no legal claim to her.
You were proud to be Miss Wandick's father.
Yes.
It's something you cherished, a relationship you valued.
Yes.
She said you were a wonderful father to her.
Right.
So the truth is, your commitment to this young woman was truly about love and about the belief that you were her father, even though you had no legal claim.
That's heartwarming. But then there's Davis, who tries to ruin this beautiful family with her selfishness and lies. And it gets worse. Davis only started claiming the other man was the father when she discovered he was wealthy.
What do you believe was your mother's motivation for creating this type of paternity saga?
Money. When this other man accumulated all this money, that's when she would say, that's who really your dad is. You need to get some money from him.
Whoa, that was unexpected. Things are escalating, and the only resolution for everyone involved is the DNA test result, which is about to be revealed.
When it comes to 29-year-old Marzella Wandick, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Haggerty, you are not the father. Are you okay, honey?
Something that could have been settled 29 years ago.
Wow, this is tough. However, it's nice that Warwick is embraced by so much love from those who aren't even her biological family. As the judge noted, that's a significant blessing.
Miss Wandick, I know I could not give you the level of closure you truly needed. You got one part of the truth, but you stepped in, and I think you're surrounded by your limitless blessings, right?
This case is different from typical paternity issues. Myler demands a test to prove that her ex, Scotty Rasmussen, is not her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee's father. They've been in a custody battle, and Rasmussen claims Myler's actions are driven by hatred, not truth. The judge questions Rasmussen to uncover the truth.
You say she hates you? Why does she hate you?
She hates me because at the end of the relationship, when things got rocky, I'll admit it, I did go to another woman. I'll be the first to admit that. You know, it was my mistake.
Is that true, Miss Miller?
No.
It's not?
No.
Oh, wow. However, Rasmussen debunks Myler's accusation and claims that he only tries to see Zaylee because he wants to be there for her as much as he can. And it looks like the judge reasons with him.
Because I believe that the only reason why he wants the visitation is to claim her on his taxes.
That is the furthest thing from the truth. I want my visitation because my daughter means the world to me. I want to be in her life as much as I possibly can.
After listening to their testimonies, it is clear there is more that Myler isn't saying. Judge Lauren also agrees with me, as she asks Myler to tell the court what the problem truly is instead of lying. Let's see how that goes, shall we?
Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he is not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
Right. However, Judge Lauren wasn't done questioning her yet. She must know more about the whole conception story. Let's take a look at how she tries to clarify this and gets the story straight.
An on and off relationship that has infidelity woven through. I understand that. Ms. Miller, you were stating to the court that you were intimate with someone else and you believe that you were intimate with that other person during the time Zaylee was conceived and Mr. Rasmussen was all the way in Las Vegas.
Yes, Your Honor.
But that's not all. Rasmussen had much to tell the court about how Myler dropped the bomb on him. Here, let's continue watching to find out more.
Miss Miller brings it up that I could possibly not be the father because of another man that was involved, and she gave some date. I can't remember the specifics. One of the people we were talking to with the family court commissioner did the math, and it turns out that would be a 10-month pregnancy, and that don't make sense to me.
It is clear that Rasmussen is highly bothered by all this and unable to understand Myler's actions toward him. He says that despite their unstable relationship, Myler still gave Zaylee his name. In fact, Rasmussen presents a copy of the certificate to the court, which the judge examines.
You're on the birth certificate.
Yep, I was at...
You're at the birth?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor. I said, okay.
Oh my, what a story. Myler immediately claims that Rasmussen's story is a perfectly cooked up lie. The court then gave her the floor to tell her own version of what happened when Zaylee was born. Let's see what she has to say.
After she was born, he was gone. He ran out of the room. I didn't see him for 20 minutes after that. While I was in labor, he was sitting on one of those hospital cot beds on his computer in the corner, not paying attention to me, in his own little...
Okay, we can all agree that the story is becoming clearer. Anyway, Myler explains that everything was perfect and excellent. With their marriage coming up and their baby being born, she couldn't have felt any happier. Her happiness turned sour when one of Rasmussen's friends informed her about his infidelity.
And I thought we were going to get married. I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born, one of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me, going to multiple places to meet multiple girls.
So far, this episode has been a lot. From stories of infidelity to Myler being Rasmussen's side piece, I don't think I can take any more. Along the line, Judge Lauren asks Myler one fundamental question. If she was feeling this way, why did she wait so long to tell Rasmussen about the paternity issue? Here is what she had to say in response to that.
Even through the breakup, you all are making custody and visitation arrangements, but you know deep down there's another possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Why wait so long to tell him?
I told him the first time that we had a court date, but the courts threw it out.
Rasmussen asserts that little Zaylee looks exactly like he did as a 3-year-old, which causes him to stand firm in his belief that she is his. However, Miller claims she does not see any resemblance between them, adding that Zaylee looks exactly like the other man.
And you, as a child, Mr. Rasmussen, on the right.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And you say you see a distinct similarity.
Yes, I do.
Do you see it, Ms. Miller?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
I don't.
You feel like Zaylee looks like the other gentleman you were intimate with.
Look, we even have the same chin. I'm just noticing that now. Our chin looks exactly the same. We have the same dimples.
Rasmussen is fed up with Mueller's antics. Look at how he expresses his frustration over the visitation schedule.
At first, it was that fly-by-night, just make a date whenever you want to and, you know, go from there. But obviously that didn't work. And then sometime after that, we started out where I had to sit with Miss Miller and my daughter at a park for 4 hours once a week for 4 weeks.
Rasmussen has a beautiful connection with his daughter. I can already imagine how much this would break him if the results come out, and he is not Zaylee's biological father. In fact, there is no need to imagine anything. This man has rightfully explained to the court how he would feel if the result confirmed whether he is Zaylee's father.
In a sense, yes. If it goes the way I'm hoping and I know in my heart that it will, that she is mine, I'm just going to be overjoyed that all the drama and the fighting and all that kind of stuff is behind me. If it goes the other way, I don't think if I had all the time in the world, I could, you know, prepare myself for such a bombshell.
Poor Rasmussen. Anyway, it is time to know what the DNA test result on Rasmussen says, shall we?
Case of Miller versus Rasmussen. When it comes to 3-year-old Zaylee Rasmussen, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Rasmussen, you are not the father. Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
I'm sorry.
Okay, who is this woman? How is she excited that her child just lost the only father figure she has ever had in her life? This is quite unbelievable and disappointing. Even Judge Lauren couldn't resist expressing her disgust at Myler's behavior.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope that you weren't just acting a fool because you so mad at him because he cheated on you that you would cheat your child out of a father. But that cheering you did,